Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into a special edition of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Today, we welcome back play-by-play broadcaster for the Saskatchewan Rush, Cody Janzen. Cody, thanks for jumping back on with us, and how's it been going?
Fellas, always a pleasure. Yeah, going great, going great. Again, the season's been buzzing by. Can't believe we're already end of March here.
So we'll jump right into it because I know you got a hard out. What is one word to describe the Rush's season, 3 games left on the schedule?
I'd say good. I think that's a very simple way to put it. It hasn't been great. There has been some downs, but there really hasn't been that much bad. And I think good is very solid for this team. It's a fastball down the middle. They haven't been very inconsistent. Yes, they've wavered at times. There hasn't been perfect. That's why I'm not saying it's been great, but it's been really damn good.
Now, we'll start at the front gate. Ryan Keenan, when I was doing my articles for the power rankings, I was kind of giving him a hard time last year. But, this year, I think he should be in MVP conversations. I mean, he's leading the team in goals, assists, points, leading the forwards in loose balls and caused turnovers. Is it just as simple as he wasn't fully healthy going into the season last year? Or do you see something else that might explain him popping off and leading the team in pretty much every statistical category this year?
Yeah, there were some injury troubles last year, obviously, and not to dive too much behind the scenes, but he was not 100%. And so clearly people could see that. Clearly it affected his game. But I think that hunger came back in the offseason. I think that drive, getting that close to a championship, look, he's a young guy when he came into the league, and he had a lot of success early. So when that goes away, you got to refine that fire. And I think that a run to the championship did that. And I think we are seeing a Ryan Keenan who is more motivated than ever. He's more mature than ever. He's, a better captain than he was last year. Like all those little things, he continues to improve. And so it's really not that surprising that he's having a great year.
We'll stay on the left side there. Zach Mans, hindsight's 2020, so I won't talk too much into how I believe Saskatchewan kind of robbed Toronto a couple years ago. But how big of a franchise-shifting trade was that and ended up being, including Zach Mans now living out in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, that's a ridiculous trade to look back on. And honestly, like you probably... I don't want to speak for Jamie or anyone, but probably look back, it's probably a 1-for-1 deal, Mans for Matthews at the actual value. And so the Rush also had Adam J and Levi Anderson in the mix, which have been 2 great pieces. But I think for Mans, we're seeing a bit of it this year, just like last year. He's not at his ceiling. I still watch games, and I'd say it to his face. It's just like Zach Mans can be better, right? Because when Zach Mans is on, oh my goodness, the way he shoots the ball, the way he dances around defenders, he can absolutely feed dimes. Like, he's that special of a player. We still haven't seen peak Zach Mans, and that's the exciting part, is that we're going to see him go off for 100 points in the next 3 seasons. Like, he's going to have a 100-plus point season, and I think everyone's going to look back and be like, yeah, we knew that was coming.
Austin Shanks last year made headlines in the playoffs, not just for his sound bites, but more importantly, what he was doing on the field. But this year, it seems like he might have taken a step back, and he hasn't had as consistent, 5, 6, 7-point games. He's more of a secondary scorer this year, 4th in goals, assists, points, shots on net. Is it something in his game that you see, or is it just truly Ryan Keenan, Robert Church, and Zach Mans are the main 3, and then Shanks kind of got to pick up the slack or the leftover scraps, I should say?
I'll say this, and everyone, I know you got a ton of listeners, and then they know the NLL well. The league doesn't disclose certain things like other professional leagues, and you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes for these guys. They are weekend warriors. They do have jobs, lives. Even as something as simple as injury disclosure is not the same as other leagues. And so I always, not giving guys the benefit of the doubt, but when fans ask these things, I like to say, hey, look, we just have a fraction of the story here. We don't have everything. I don't have everything. but I like to think I've got more insight than the average person. And that's where, when fans are asking about it, I say, hey, I'm worried about Austin Shanks is if the playoffs, if he's not performing, because then there was an issue in not getting him healthy and ready for the playoffs, right? But Austin Shanks having a regular season where he's not lighting it up like last year, that's fine because at the end of the day, you don't lift a trophy in week 14. You lift one at the end of May. And so that's where I want to see Austin Shanks clicking. And he's had some help. He's had some other guys take on some bigger roles and perform better. So I think he's just, he's happy to see his teammates and friends succeed too.
Yeah, as long as he's clicking right when it means the most, do or die.
Yeah.
And that's what he did last year. That's what he did. He almost killed Buffalo in the playoffs there. But this team feels like it has something that every team around the league wants. They got their four main guys up front, and it's split perfectly 2-2. But then they have younger pieces that are building behind them. How big is it for the development of guys like Brock Haley and Levi Anderson and Josh Zawada that are able to learn on the fly, but also aren't guys that are needed to pick up like 6, 7, 8, 9 points a game for this team to win?
And Bandits fans are going to fully understand this comment, and they're also going to be punching air at the same time. You win championships with your fifth and sixth forwards. I truly believe that. I look up and down the line. You look at Buffalo's championships, and even before that, you look at Colorado, you look at Calgary, you look at Saskatchewan. It can't always be the big four. And so having those depth forwards, not the big four, the depth forwards, having those players excel, develop, and execute is what leads to championships in the NLL. And if you've got that, you have a dangerous team that is next to impossible to stop. And so for Saskatchewan, that's huge because their depth forwards last year in the playoffs were not as good as the Bandits' depth forwards in the playoffs. And that is truly why I believe Buffalo won in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, we had John Fraser on a couple during the game one, and he mentioned Brock Haley could be like a 70-point guy on any other team. I'm like, yeah, you could be in like 3 or 4 years, be a guy that's pushing 100 points on any other team as well. But last one in terms of the offense here, who to you is an X factor for this offense this season? It could be what you've seen the first 15 or the final 3 games and leading into the playoffs. Who's an X factor for you?
I think that one guy that still comes to mind of can accelerate his game is Levi Anderson. I think that Brock Haley has worked his game up to a better balance of being that scorer as well as crashing and banging to open up space for Church and Shanks. But I think Levi Anderson can do the exact same for Mans and Keenan, right? I don't think, anyone would be shocked if Levi Anderson has a 3-4 point night game, but he's also got to be able to use his big frame body to open up space for someone like Keenan and Mans. Because once he starts doing that, he is going to make this offense even more effective. And come playoff time, it gets a lot more physical. You need your big bodies to start to wear down defenses before they wear you down.
I think we got you on at the perfect time because a little bit ago you made some headlines. You are now a new owner of a hockey team. First off, congrats. And second, how did that all come about and what made you want to dive into this new adventure?
Oh man, we're gonna have to do like a 7-part episode on this if we're gonna dive into that. First off, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was lucky enough. I knew the right people and was able to talk with some of the right people. I wanted to get back into the hockey world. I had some stuff in my life change last summer, obviously, and just wanted a new challenge. I wanted something different. I wanted something that hasn't been done, and a lot of stuff has been done in the hockey world. So I wanted to get creative with it. I wanted to try something different. Knew some people over there, put in months and months and months of research, and yeah, November pulled the trigger on it. Yeah, bought the team. Obviously, being a foreigner over there, getting involved in hockey, it's a whole different environment. We're starting from ground zero, but it's fun, man. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Season 1 was awesome. We just played 8 games this year as an independent non-league team. But hey, we got our feet wet. People in Skopje got to see hockey for the first time in 10 years. The men's team was awesome. They're all excited. We're going to be starting youth hockey, hopefully getting the national team back up and rolling, getting involved with the federation, stuff like that. So there's tons of potential, but end of the day, I need a new challenge. Everyone knows I love lacrosse. Lacrosse broadcasting is one of my favorite things in the world. But I also, I got a hockey background and I just like a new challenge. And so, sports team ownership, You got an opportunity to make an impact. That's what I want. I want to do something rewarding where, I can put my head on the pillow and know that it did good.
Maybe we'll have to call FX and maybe you can start rivaling the Wrexham guys out there.
Yeah, that's a long ways to go. But hey, I would be flattered if we got to that point one day.
We'll flip to the defensive side of the ball here now. Matt Hossack is quietly putting up, and maybe not even quietly, maybe it's more loud on the West Coast there, but he's following up a Defensive Player of the Year award season with another award quality year. I mean, if he played in Toronto or Vancouver, do you think he'd be getting more attention like the guys like the Brad Kreese or the Ryan Dilks or even the Graham Hossacks? Do you think if he's playing in a bigger market of Vancouver or Toronto, do you think his name would be floated out there with the greats where it probably should be?
Yeah, two things to that. There's obviously media bias where you look at, 95% of lacrosse media comes from, Vancouver, or BC, or Toronto and Ontario. I just group them all in as Vancouver and Toronto. So obviously the media there is going to be biased towards their own guys. Second part, I think there's also a little bit of Hossack fatigue, right? It's every year, it's Matt and Graham are the best defenders in the league because they are, where I think that people are almost overlooking it because it's now become the standard. And I think that that's maybe where people start to overlook Matt Hossack and how effective he's been. The other side of it is now Matt Hossack is getting a lot of help too. He gets the toughest matchups, but they also have a D-man in Jake Boudreau who is taking on those top matchups as well and should be up for Defender of the Year too. He is that good. He embraces the opportunity of taking on a Dane Smith, a Lyle Thompson, the best righties in the game. Someone like Jake Boudreau does that. And I think he's learned a lot from seeing one of the best righty defenders in the game and Matt Hossack, shut down a lot of the best lefties in the game night after night.
A guy that didn't get a ton of run last year, their 2024 16th overall pick, Matt Accioni. And what have you liked about his game that has helped contribute to their 11-4 season so far for the Rush?
Accioni's sick. That kid is so slick with the ball. Like, he's got hands like a forward. He is fast as anyone in the league or on the team at least, where, there's a lot of similarities with the way him, Barnable, Boudreau play. It's that Saskatchewan Rush style. It's push the pace. It's put your opponents in awkward situations. He's obviously more mature. He's now fully healthy again. That's something else. And I think that confidence is there where he's taking those risks and opportunities. Man, if you're putting cash in the bank, you might as well keep shooting, right? And I think that's something for Accioni. You want to see that kid keep growing with confidence because he's a guy who can pop 7 to 10 a year, in the future.
The only addition this team made the entire year was drafting a big defenseman in Levi Virch, 13th overall. Selfishly, he was a guy I was hoping was going to slip to Buffalo. Well, one pick later, but Saskatchewan gobbled him up, and good for them. He's only played in 4 games so far this year, but he's put up solid stat lines in each game. Do you see him as an eventual full-time player that's playing meaningful minutes down the road? Because, this team has had pretty good defensemen come through their organization.
Yeah, I guess the question's a little open-ended of meaningful minutes this year or in the future. Because if it's for this year, I'm not sure he's ready to play that big role come playoff time. I'm just being honest in what I've seen. Like, he's a good defender in the NLL, and on any team, he's probably, played 18 games a season, and he's probably, a number 3 or 4 lefty D-man. The Rush are deep, though. Like, this defensive core, come playoff time, you got a guy like Jarrett Smith sitting in the wings. You got a guy like Holden Garlett who's going to be coming off of IR in the next couple of weeks. Like, there's so many other options. I'm not sure that there's a tougher defense in the league to crack than Saskatchewan. So that plays against Levi Virch. But listen, in the next few years, this guy's going to be a mainstay on this team. I think that once he gets his box lacrosse feet under him, it's a little different than playing field lacrosse defense again, right? So he just gets acclimated to it. You get those boots moving a little bit quicker. You understand the defensive systems and switches. He's going to be good for this team. He's a solid D-man. You can't have too many of them. And so Virch is going to be a big piece going forward. I just think for this year, it's also good for him to for us to be realistic and be like, hey, he's not going to be a number 1 D-man. But you don't need every, rookie to come in and be a number 1 D-man, right? It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it definitely helps their development. Again, similar to the forwards of not having to be relied upon game in and game out to be the
Yeah.
number one or two type of player. But who on the back end for you is not getting enough attention that season's end we can all look back and shake our heads on why we didn't give this guy enough praise through the season?
Oh, one guy. I like giving the depth guys a lot of love. Um, I'm going to give you two names. I know I'm breaking the one rule of your question. I think that Connor McClelland has been sneaky, unbelievable for this team. It feels like he comes up with these little plays in games that just, you don't recognize him for half the game. And then he comes up with a massive, pick off of a pass, or he's pushing the ball up. You lay a hit. Like, he's doing a lot of those little things that don't end up on the stat sheet. He does those correct. And then Bobby Kidd the third. I think that John talked about this on the podcast when he was talking with you. BK3 was a guy who, he was on the bubble. It was, teams were trying to, trade for him. I think Saskatchewan at one point in time probably did take a couple of calls and say, is this a guy we can move on from? But he just elevated his game and he keeps getting better and he's more mature now. He like I don't know how to put it, but I think between the years, he gets the defensive systems a lot better now. Like, it feels like those little things are improving in his game. And man, that guy's a freak athlete. And you put all those things together. Like, I think that those depth defenders, you could also loop Adam J, Ryan Barnable in the mix, but like the depth defenders on Sask have been phenomenal this year.
Yeah, that's a big reason why Verch can't even crack the lineup is because they're so deep everywhere.
That's the issue. Like, I don't want to sound like rude when I'm like talking about Verch being like, I don't think he's playing a big like role on the team this year, but like, where
Yeah,
how do you climb above it? And then you got Holden Garlick coming back, who's one of the best D-men in the league too, of like, he's in a tough spot.
yeah.
And so like, kudos to him for getting in the lineup. But like, yeah, that's not like, if you're a young defender, like getting drafted by Sask, you're like, this is awesome, I'm gonna learn. But like, you have to have a Matt Accioni development curve to become a regular on this team.
Yeah, there's a reason you guys didn't have to add very many pieces or even bring in a bunch of pieces during training camp. But now there were 15 games into the season here. This stat has a big enough sample size. This team continues to be number one or number two in the league at allowing the fewest shots on net per game. What do you see from them that allows them to keep that important number so low? Is it, multiple second chances from the offense, so it's limiting the chances defenses are out there? Is it just having great loose ball guys on the field? Is it just no big rebounds from Chiliano?
I mean, you kind of checked all the boxes
I
for me
try.
there,
I try.
PK.
Making your job a little easier.
Like let's be realistic. This team, and I know they've got out to some tough starts to games. They play the same way for 60 minutes. They're aggressive. They're on hands, and that's what Saskatchewan does best. So they don't give shooters a lot of time and space compared to other teams. B, flip side, anytime the pill touches the turf, the Rush have a lot of guys with vacuums out there. They're a great loose ball team, and you got a goalie like Frank Chiliano who's still putting up numbers that could be career best for him. Like, he's not giving up those extra rebounds. He doesn't, leave a lot of bad balls in the slot or anything like that. Like, you kind of just have to check all those boxes when it comes down to being a good defense. And I honestly think that hurts Saskatchewan's numbers at times. Like, I think it's like the way Frank Chiliano plays, his defense gets less loose balls. His stats, like Frank Chiliano's stats, are going to be worse because the team doesn't give up that many shots. They block a lot of shots. Like, it's kind of funny how that works. How you see like the goalies with great numbers. Sometimes you look and you're like, yeah, questionable. Or like, oh, you had this big like 55 save game, but they lost 15-12. Right? Like, Sass doesn't really do that for Frank Chiliano. And I think that a lot of it is just how cohesive the unit is. And so anytime you can limit those chances, it just means everyone has to do their job and you got a really good chance at success. And then for Saskatchewan last year, unfortunately, they did it for 45 minutes. And in that final 15 minutes of game 3, that's when the wheels fell off. But that's how close this team can be. That's why they don't have to make moves like that at the deadline.
When we had John Fraser on, I asked him the same question, and now that we're into week 18, I'll ask you. Frankie is putting up numbers that were even better than last year's. Dobson has kind of come a bit back to the field his last 2 games. To me, his numbers are finalist worthy, but does he actually have a legit chance, if this team is the number 1 seed, to repeat that award?
Oh, do we want to get like the unhinged Janner on like the awards voting? I'll keep it tame on this one, but let's just
We had Cooper
say,
last week go a little unhinged with Zach Courier, so
yeah,
go for it.
yeah, that's I can't be Cooper. Cooper's the absolute man. Um, I think that when it comes to awards voting in the league, it's like half a media thing on like who's been on Instagram the most. There's a little bit of that. And like last year, I feel like Frank Chiliano was all over the place. He was making SportsCenter top 10 every month. He was doing a lot of this. And like now he's just been like consistent. He's close to setting career highs in wins per season, save percentage, goals against. Like he's going to be even better than last year. But since he isn't in the media as
Right.
much as others, I feel like he might not even be a finalist, which is crazy to say, but that's just how I see it. That's where I'll bite my tongue.
That's fair. Yeah, I like to dive into the numbers, and I'm watching every game, and I'm like, I don't know how this guy's not getting talked enough about. But maybe, again, it's the Saskatchewan curse out there, just not getting enough eyes on it. But I know you were a goalie, and I know that's a big reason you got back into hockey. At a much smaller level, I'm a goalie hockey for, I'm sorry, a soccer goalie for my soccer team. Goalies are a different breed, and they kind of have to be when you're putting your body in front of a very fast moving object. But they've also been a little bit quirky in some rituals. Did you have any rituals that you had to do before, during, or after the game?
People will tell you I'm probably that's the most boring person on earth. Like I didn't have any crazy superstitions. I was just a deadbeat before. I just listened to my music, put on my gear. Like I don't know. Everyone else has all these cool like superstition stories and stuff like that. I don't know if I was just like I would like kind of tape my stick the same way, but like I didn't do anything weird or wild. I see goalies nowadays, everyone's got some weird routines, some crazy stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think people would just chalk it up to me being one of the most boring people in the world. So that's yeah, I don't have any cool stories or anything like that from superstitions. I just kind of went out there and got hit by pucks.
That's fair. That's all you got to do. Let's get in the way of the fast moving object is your job. But Bandits versus Rush Saturday night in Sask, game 2 of a 2-game series here, and we can talk about the finals all we want. But looking at this season, Buffalo won in overtime last month. What do you think is the headline going into this matchup?
Saskatchewan has to prove they're the top team in the league. They have the opportunity to prove they are still the top team in the league. But opportunity goes for naught if you don't actually do the dang thing. And so now you have a chance. Everyone remembers Bandits Rush last year at SaskTel Center, regular season, absolute barn burner, playoffs, absolute barn burner. These two teams are throwing heavyweight punches. And PK, you know as good as anyone that if you don't win, it doesn't matter how sexy your stats are, right? People care about wins and losses. That is exactly what matters in the NLL in the regular season. And for Saskatchewan, if they could pick up a win here and still hold on to top spot in the league, that's what matters. If you lose, people are like, well, now they're not the top spot in the league. They've lost 4 of their last X. They've done this. Buffalo's beat them twice. The chatter starts, right? So, hey, if you've been lifting dumbbells, you might as well flex. And for Saskatchewan, it's time to actually show the league and have that opportunity of, hey, we are the best team in the league. And now we've got home field advantage. Now we've got the crowd behind us. Now we've got an opportunity to take on Buffalo, who I've said before that they're second or third best team in the league. I truly do believe that they're on par with Vancouver, and I think they're neck and neck with Saskatchewan. So, like, you've got an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? That's what I'm looking forward to because the pressure's on Saskatchewan. It just is.
What area of Saskatchewan's game do you believe they have the edge over the Bandits and might help them get the win on Saturday night? And I'm interested to see if we have the same answer here.
It's speed. It's
Yep.
that youth. It's that athleticism. Yeah. It's the speed. The Rush, if they capitalize in transition, that's going to be huge. Obviously, from an offensive perspective, the shooters have to be hitting their spots from the outside, and the defense has to shut down Dane and Josh. But like for the Rush, where they make their money, it's speed and transition. And if they are efficient in that realm, they've got a good chance. If Buffalo slows it down, if they clog it down, if Buffalo gets to play a 30-second game, then that's where the Bandits are as dangerous as anyone.
What battle are you most looking forward to watching in this matchup? Is it the goalie battle? Is
Dane
it
Smith versus Jake Boudreau.
Okay, that
Bar
was one of the
none.
options. Yep.
That was, yeah, I don't even know if you had the option up there, but I love a good defender forward matchup, man. Like I look forward to like Matt Hossack, Josh Byrne, Messenger Byrne, however you want to shake that. But last year calling so many games where it was just Boudreau covering Dane Smith, man, that became fun because every time Dane gets the rock and Boudreaux's up there, you just know that's an absolute masterclass between one of the best forwards to ever play the game and one of the best up and coming defenders in the league. And that's fun.
Oh, I agree. That's going to be the one that my eyes catch as well. Just two more for you here. For the Rush to get the win, this needs to happen. What needs to happen?
Frank Chiliano's got to outplay Matt Vince. I think that we talk about, here's an opportunity to prove yourself. Not only Saskatchewan probably has to get out to a good start, they got to do this, that, and everything else. You need your goaltender to be the better of the two. And if you get that on any given night in the league, you got a good chance to win. You really need that to win when you're playing a top 3 team in the league.
My last question is similar to last year. It's got nothing to do with you or the sport. Would you rather have a snail follow you for the rest of your life, and if it catches you, it kills you, or once a month for the rest of your life, you have to take a punch from in his prime, Mike Tyson?
Wait, so I can't sleep or the snail gets me?
It's still a
but
snail that's at
can
his
I jump
pace.
him? Can I jump in my vehicle and take him to Louisiana and then I'm free for a month?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'm doing the snail. That's for sure. I'm just gonna go spend a month in Texas and then rip around, come back. It would take him years to get down there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you would think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast snails move.
Then you got to start worrying about okay, how fast does a snail move? How much time do I have? And then you got to remember, okay, at this point in time, I have to go move somewhere else. So I thought maybe 1 month was too short. Maybe once a year, Mike Tyson, and maybe that'll switch you over there. But
yeah, once a year is probably more so in play. But I'm not taking that punch. I'm running away from a snail. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
There you go. But Cody, that's all I got for you. Thanks for jumping on with the Buffalo Sports Collective. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and maybe anything else you want to plug for listeners?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm on social media, Janner on PXB, mainly on Twitter. So that's where everyone's gonna find me for NLL talk. I'm looking forward to it, man. I know you got a ton of Buffalo fans. We'll talk to them all. I think it's on the C-Dub this weekend, NLL Plus, ESPN Plus. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Bandits fans are awesome. I truly think that, we got the 2 best fan bases in the league, and you got an opportunity for a clash on a Saturday night showcase, man. It's going to be a blast.
Thanks again for joining us on the BSC. Hope to talk to you down the road and continued success with everything you're doing across lacrosse and the hockey markets there.
Always a pleasure. Anytime you can't find anyone better, give me a call.
We'll be back Friday for our normal episode to preview Bandits versus the Rush. We'll talk to you all then.